Let's look at a couple examples of how the holy trinity of typography comes into play and can greatly affect your design. And learn the shortcut keys so you're doing this with keyboard shortcuts instead of going to menus. Now, one example often used is this one up here in the left, where you have a word therapist, but let's say you choose a font and you make that font bigger. Some fonts are designed to have spacing at a certain size. And as you make that bigger, sometimes awkward or weird gaps come in. Now, I've exaggerated it in this example just to point out that the rapist is very different than therapist. And a couple things happened here. So I exaggerated the tracking of these three letters. So the tracking is the space. Let's say you highlight a whole word or a whole sentence or whatever. The tracking is all the space in between all of the letters. So I would close that up because I opened it. So what I'm doing is highlighting it and holding Option and the left arrow, I'm bringing it together, and the right arrow brings it back. That's a bunch of stuff at once. That's tracking. I also opened up the kerning. If you look right here, my cursor, it's not a space, right? I didn't hit space after the E. There's just a larger gap. I opened up the kerning. Kerning is the space between two characters, right? So I have my cursor to the right of the R. I'm going to hold Option, and with the left key, I'm going to move it back to kind of where it is for normal, somewhere around there. So kerning, you can tighten up or loosen the space in between two characters, two adjacent characters, and tracking is expanding the whole thing. So again, tracking, if I highlight the whole word, hold Option, and do my right arrow, you notice it adds space in between each individual letters, okay? Now, leading is the third one. If you're looking at this, and this is a body of text, this is most likely too close together to make it easy to read. Think of leading as line spacing, and typically comes into play in larger bodies of text. So I'm going to highlight this, and again, Option key, and we want to add space between the bottom and the top, so it is down arrow and up arrow, okay? Visually look at it, I can click off now, and then now there is more space, opens up a little white space, and oftentimes that will make things easier to read. Now, as a quick overview on this, another place to look, the character panel. When you look at this, it has right here set the leading, and you can see there's an arrow between the bottom letter and the top letter. That's the space between the bottom and the top. You can see here both of these words are highlighted, like it's highlighting the whole thing, so that's tracking. And then this designates that there's a space in between two words, and the arrow opens it up, right? So like here, click on that, come into my character, you can see that I can change the kerning right here. Oops. Set it to auto, goes back to normal, and my tracking goes back to 0, and that's how the word's supposed to look. Changing this to like 5, for example, would be the same as if I highlighted it and Option right or left. You can come in and do options here, or learn the shortcut keys. So that is kerning, leading, and tracking.